I'm Connie from The Painted Photographer, and if you want any of my products and you're local, stop in at T's Tanning Plus Gifts on Main and pick yourself up some DIY paint. If you're not local, my link is below at thepaintedphotographer.com. I will ship right to your front door. Thank you and happy painting. We're gonna paint this wheelbarrow full of flowers. I'm gonna show you how to do it from the beginning to the end. This is a fun little project. If you got some paint laying around, you don't need a whole lot of colors, and it really helps you get into the mood for spring. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I have a board. This board is 5.5 by 8. You can use whatever size board you have, or you can use a canvas, whatever you have laying around. I'm using DIY paint. This is Blue Iris for the sky. I have an artist brush. This is just an artist brush from Walmart. It's an inexpensive brush. I'm gonna go ahead and dip into the Blue Iris and paint the sky. So you're going to just give a good coat of Blue Iris up there. Then, of course, the sky is not that blue. It's blue at the top and not just a solid blue. So we're gonna add some beadboard. This is DIY beadboard as well. And if you don't want to contaminate your paint, you can just go straight in and straight out to get some paint on your brush, or you can put some into a separate container so that you don't have to worry about contaminating your paint. Now you're gonna go straight in. I didn't even rinse out my brush. You're gonna go straight into that sky, and we're gonna go a little bit more white. You're just painting straight across. Everything is just straight. Now we need some grass. So this is Salty Kiss. It's another DIY product. If you wanna just wipe off the blue from your brush, if you have brown paper on your table, a paper toweling, whatever you have, just kind of wipe it off. Otherwise, I didn't wipe it off totally. Now you're gonna go in with some green. And again, whatever color green that you have is fine. And then make that grass, because it's springtime and we got grass. We might not right now, but we will. Okay, so that's a pretty distinct line. I would rather not have such a distinct line, so I'm gonna wipe my green off of my brush, and I'm gonna go back into my beadboard. And I'm going to variegate that grass line into the sky. That's it. There's all there is to it, to the background. Now I'm gonna let this dry and I'll be back to show you more. All right, we're back. This is all dry now and I have a piece of chalk. I am going to chalk this wheelbarrow onto the board, and it's pretty easy if you just think about it in shapes. So the wheel is a circle. So you're gonna draw a circle. Then there's a long line that comes out of the middle of the wheel and it goes up about halfway up the board. If you make a mistake, like I just did, you can wipe it back off. You're gonna make a line from the middle of the wheel to about halfway up the board. Just a straight line. Then you are going to make a V, which is the stand part of the wheelbarrow. Then make a diagonal line, a straight line, and another line that comes right on the back side of the stand. That's it. That's all there's to it for making lines and drawing your wheelbarrow. Now we're going to grab a brush that I don't have. I still don't have. Now we're gonna grab a small brush. This is another Walmart brush, and it is a diagonal small brush. We're gonna make this wheel. So instead of having you get another color, we're just gonna make gray. So we're gonna take some of our black, and we're gonna take some of our white and mix them together. And we're gonna make a gray. And go around to complete that tire. It's okay if it's not perfect, because this is a pretty whimsical drawing. It doesn't have to be a perfect wheel. Just get your circle in there. And then we're also going to do the spokes of the wheel. So you're gonna find your center and then just paint some spokes out from that center. They don't have to be perfect, just get them in there. Then to make the wheel a bit on the shadowed side, we're just gonna take some white paint on our brush, right here on our brush, and we're gonna go around the outside of the tire. On the one side, giving it a little bit of highlight, like the sun would be shining from that side, and this side is going to be a little bit on the black side. To give this wheel some shape. I don't wash my brush out, I just wipe it with a baby wipe, or if you have a paper towel that's wet, or if you want to wash it, that's fine too. Whatever works for you. Then we're going to take this size brush. This is another angled brush. It's just a bit on the bigger side. And we're going to come in with some blue iris. And we're going to make the wheelbarrow part first. So you're just gonna paint that solid area with blue iris. Doesn't matter how you paint it right now, just get it solid coverage in there. There, you got a nice solid coverage. Now I wanted this wheelbarrow to look like it was made up of boards, like it was a wooden wheelbarrow. So I'm gonna go ahead and dip in my white. Got some white on my brush, and I'm gonna make a line on the top of the wheelbarrow. More white, and another line. All the way down to the bottom of the wheelbarrow. Then I want the wheelbarrow to have a little bit of shape. So I'm gonna make those edges just a bit darker. And it's lighter in the middle of the wheelbarrow where maybe the sun would be hitting it. It's made out of old weathered boards. Now I'm gonna go back to this smaller brush that I had, and I'm gonna go into the blue iris and make the wheelbarrow stand. That's just making a line. And then also from the center of the wheel, we're gonna go up and make that board. Again, this is very whimsical, so it doesn't have to be perfect. Your handle, you want your handle long enough so that someone can grab onto it and pick it up. Then you also want to make it look like there is the handle and the stand on the back side. Now I'm gonna go in with some white And I'm going to give this front one a little bit of highlight. There it is. Our wheelbarrow is almost done. Now I'm going to wipe off the blue iris, and I'm going to go back in with that black. A wheelbarrow always has those rubber handles on the end to make it easier on your hands. So we're going to draw those in with black. I'm going to go in with some white and highlight that front one, making it look like that other one is behind. Then, when I got some black on my brush, oops, we're gonna use this brush. We're gonna go back in and we're gonna get some dark gray on our brush. And I'm gonna go down on the front of this wheelbarrow and the back side of the wheelbarrow. And that is giving it the illusion like it's been put together. It has a couple of boards that have nailed it together. Now we have a liner brush. It is a long, thin brush. And we are going to make our little black dress, the black color. We're gonna make it a bit on the soupy side. We want this to be, the paint to be nice and thin. So mix in your water and have it nice and thin. You're gonna roll your brush to get most of your paint off. Then outline your wheelbarrow with your liner brush. I hold my brush way in the back so I have a little bit more freer movement. I don't stay in the lines either. Sometimes I purposely go out of the lines. It gives it more of an interest. You're just gonna go highlight or low light some of those defined areas. With that little black dress. This is where you're really gonna make it look like there's a leg behind there, because you're going to make that line stand out a little bit more. And these are the boards that held that wheelbarrow together on the front and back, and here's the boards that have been nailed together. If you want, you can make, like, the board is got some slats in it with a couple of nail holes holding it together. It's really totally up to you. Anything that you want to do. There's our wheelbarrow for right now. We're gonna make a little bit of ground on the bottom. Just make some wavy lines. And that's it for right now. We're gonna let it dry one more time. All right, we're back. We're gonna put some tulips on this wheelbarrow. The first thing I'm going to do is put the tulips on. And why I do that and not the leaves is because I want to know where the tulips are going to be located. So I'm taking this small angled brush, and I have a little bit of DIY kissing booth. And tulips are, they're a peak in the middle, and then they kind of make a heart on the opposite side. So just a line down the middle, and then a peak. They don't have to be perfect, because you're going to make them better with some highlights and lining. So basically just get some tulip-like shapes on your painting. You can even put one down here that's hanging out of the wheelbarrow. We'll do another one down here. Tulips kind of like to fall over. Then we'll also do a few that aren't open. And that's just a teardrop shape. On my piece of plexiglass, I also have white. I'm gonna go in with some white, and the petals that are in the front are lighter than the one in the back. That's how you're going to get these tulips to have a little bit of shape for that middle stem not being highlighted. And then these teardrop shapes, we're gonna add a few more. This wheelbarrow is full of tulips. Okay, there's all of our tulip blossoms. I'm gonna wipe my brush off on a baby wipe again, and I'm gonna go in with green. This time I have Aviary from DIY. And I have my same small little angled brush, and I'm going to make those same little teardrop shapes to make the shape of leaves. And you're just gonna put them wherever your flowers are, kind of filling up the spaces. If you got them hanging off the side here, make sure you hang those leaves down as well. The leaves wouldn't be sticking up and the flowers down. You have to point the leaves to the same direction as the flowers. In all of this empty space here, I really don't mind some of that empty space. But you can fill it up with some dabs of green, making it the illusion of leaves. Now we're gonna go in with white again and highlight those leaves. I always like to make sure that I never have a solid color, because that doesn't give you the form that it needs. You have to put either a highlight or a low light on your painting to give it form. Okay, there are all my leaves. Now I'm going to go back to that liner brush, or I have a smaller one here. It's a liner brush, but it's a little bit on the smaller side. I'm gonna go into that green. I'm gonna spray it with a little water so it's not quite so thick. DIY paint is all clay-based, and it's a thicker paint, but when you're doing these free lines, you need it to be able to move. So what I'm doing is I'm connecting all of my tulips with a stem. They gotta have a stem on them. All right, now the bottom of the tulip, it has to have something that the flower grew out of. So I'm making a little V shape on the bottom of the tulips. That's all it's to it. You can go back in with a little white on those if you have any that are too perfect and too solid green. Just giving them a little bit of shape. Now we're gonna go in for the daisies. And this is a pretty easy way to make the center of a daisy. This is Liquid Sunshine. I'm gonna go with the back end of my paintbrush. And I'm gonna make a dot. This is where my daisies are going to be. This is the easiest way to make a daisy, is to find the center first. And then I also had a few down here on the bottom that are looking like dandelions. It's just kind of cute down there on the bottom. You don't have to do them if you don't want. Now back in with our green and our liner brush. We're gonna make what looks like grass down here. Just a bunch of lines. And you can go in with the white if you want it to be a little bit on the lighter side. There's the grass. All right, now we have one thing left to do, and that is making the daisies. So you're gonna go in with the liner brush again with white, straight white paint. And you're going to just make lines around the whole center of the yellow, making that look of a daisy. They don't have to be perfect, because no matter what they look like, they're still gonna look like daisies, because that's what everybody, when they think of a daisy, that's what they have in mind. And it's like drawing a sun when you were a kid. And so you're gonna make the center of the sun, and then you're gonna make a whole bunch of lines outside there. Then these ones that are hanging down over the wheelbarrow, I'm just gonna make the petals on the one side to make them look like they're hanging down. I'm not letting this dry in between, but if you wanted to pause the video and let it dry in between, so you made sure all of your colors were dry before going over top of them, you can do that also. You're putting the daisies right over top of the tulips. They're in the front, looking really pretty. There we have it. Petals are all done. Now I need that green one more time. That watered down green. I have to give my daisies a stem also. They can't just be hanging out there. They need to make sure they have a stem connecting them. Some of them you won't need to. Like that little guy, he had no stem. This little guy, he's got no stem. All right, now we're going back in with our little black dress. I'm gonna add a little bit of water to this. This is, again, still the liner brush. And we're gonna outline those tulips. You make a line, and then a V. You don't have to make these lines perfect. Just give them some lines to kind of give them some interest. I'm going to outline a few of my leaves. Black helps your eye to see things a little bit better, but you don't have to outline everything. Some of those stems you can outline. Just pick and choose where you're going to have your black. We're going to go down here a little bit more and make some black lines to indicate the grass. Also, don't forget to sign your project. I always put it somewhere where it's going to kind of blend in a little bit. Like I said earlier, I like my lines to be not perfect. I'll finish the sides for you. I go back to my thick brush, going back into my blue iris. I do like the color of the blue iris. And I'm going to paint my edges. You can do this before you paint your project, or you can do it after. I always do it after, so I get all of my edges painted. You also can wait. Make sure your project is dry before you do this so you don't smear it. Here's how you finish it. You're going to take a 100 grit sandpaper and sand your edges. All you're doing is you're getting that overspray that you had when you painted your side. You're removing that, exposing a little bit of the board, making it a bit on the distressed side. You're gonna go in with DIY Big Top and a nice clean paintbrush and seal on your edges. The DIY Big Top is going to bring out the colors a lot brighter, and they're going to have a slight sheen to them. I wait 24 hours before I put the Big Top on, or you will have colors smearing, because it takes a while for these colors to dry. That's it, your project is done. All right, when you're finished with this painting, what I do, this can either sit on a shelf or it can hang. So instead of putting a picture hanger on here, I just take a piece of twine and I put 2 knots in it. And then I staple the twine onto the back. And that way the nail can hold it onto the wall very easily. It's a very inexpensive way to put a hanger on the back of your painting. So I hope you had a good time, and if you want to share with me, I'd really like to see what you did. Thank you, and again, if you want any products, I am Connie the Painted Photographer at thepaintedphotographer.com. Thank you, and have a great day.